Welcome back to my little creative corner of the internet. In this video I show you how to create these beautiful witchy magic inspired crystals with some botanicals and flowers inside. First we will need some clear epoxy resin. They usually come with two different components, some small measuring cups, some wooden utensils to mix the resin and to work with it, some silicone molds in the shape of crystals, and obviously we will need some pressed flowers and leaves for the botanical inside of the crystal. Now to mix up your epoxy resin, follow the instructions on your epoxy. For mine, this meant that I had to mix the compartment in equal parts and stir it to mix it up and then leave it for 5 minutes before I could use it. I used the time in between to decide and prepare my pressed flowers for the crystals, decide which flower would go into which crystal shape and so on. After the 5 minutes passed, it was time to fill up the molds to the middle and let them start to cure a bit, so that the flower wouldn't sink to the bottom of the mold, but instead would sit in the middle of the epoxy crystal later. Then, after letting it cure for a few minutes, I added the flowers into the silicone molds. And repeated the mixing process from earlier to create a fresh batch of resin for the second round. After letting it sit for about 5 minutes, I poured the epoxy into the molds to the top, and I did bump them onto the table a little bit so that the air bubbles would rise to the top. Then I would take a little sewing needle and pop the bubbles so that the resin will be as clear as possible in the end. Now the epoxy has to cure and harden fully. For mine that meant to let it rest for 48 hours and don't touch the molds in any way. Make sure to follow the guidelines on your epoxy resin for the best results. After the 48 hours I came back and I could finally see my results and take the crystals out of the silicone molds. And I must say I'm absolutely in love with how they turned out. I'm absolutely loving the results of this DIY and can't wait to make some more magical crystals. I just have to figure out some more ideas of what to put inside of them. If you have any good ideas, leave a comment down below. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's DIY tutorial. If you did, a thumbs up would make me really happy. And don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below to join me on my creative journey.